All of the sources for this video and all my videos are available in the description box below. Do go check it out for further reading and understanding for the topics discussed in my videos. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I go by the name of Dr. Hines, and thank you so much for tuning in for another video. For those that don't know what the Distorted Coda is about, this is where I get to provide my take on the different social issues that goes on in society. I am looking back on the streams that we've done on this channel, 2 guys ago and a T. This is where we discuss a lot of the social issues with guests and panelists who are my co-hosts. Last month, we explored cancellations based around allegations and speech. We didn't really go into the nitty-gritty of cancel culture or looked at how it has evolved. For those that don't know how cancel culture came about, it's actually always been part of society. We can just go as far back as the 60s. It wasn't called cancel culture back then. The idea of boycotting businesses because of in order to get civil rights, the idea of taking action where the legal system did not have the sufficient support for these groups, that led to reforms later on. This could be seen as a form of cancellations, as a form of cancel culture, but that's not where the story actually starts. That could serve more as a prelude. The story actually starts in the Black community. Cancel culture has been synonymous or linked with the Me Too movement as well, which was also started in the Black community by Tarana Burke. I actually do understand the importance of it in society. We don't have a perfect system. It's not always going to be the remedy, and these methods can enact changes and make the system more robust in theory. In this video, I'll be looking at cancel culture and the positive and negative impacts of the people that are at the receiving end of said cancellations. I'll be using a peer-reviewed journal to basically guide my thoughts, which does support cancellations. I don't support it, which is why I'm using this journal to kind of bring a more balanced view to the topic so that you yourself can decide whether cancel culture is a viable method for the future. I'll be using Noel Clarke as a case study for this as well, because I think his case is very unique. If you don't know much about Noel Clarke, he calls himself a pioneer, but I personally didn't hear about him until he made a movie, Kidulthood. He has broken down a lot of barriers. He has made a lot of changes within the world of cinema in Britain, and especially for the Black community, because he has broken a lot of cultural norms. His big break came in Doctor Who, which is a very popular TV show in the UK, and he has pretty much gone strength to strength since then, until allegations were made about him from 20 people. The article that was written about him was mainly women. Many took on the allegations and believed it at first sight. We're going to be looking at how these allegations uniquely satisfy all facets of cancel culture. Do stick around for my thoughts in the end after I have gone through what cancel culture essentially is. For those that don't know what cancel culture really is, it is a term that has a lot of mini terms under that term. It's more like an umbrella term to describe a lot of actions. What do I mean by different terms? Well, there is cancellations, which is the action or the sanctions that has been placed by third parties, like film studios, employment, etc. That is the main idea of what cancel culture is. Doxing is part of it, calling out is part of it, the platforming is part of it, and then you have the cancellations, which is the last part, which the writer of the journal, Elvie St. Louis, actually says that the cancellations is the offline side. More to the point, the positive of cancel culture. What are they? Are they actually any positives? The truth is, when it comes to calling out injustices in society, it can only lead to more and more positive changes, in my opinion. And we can look at this in the case of Meghan Markle. The idea behind it and is what cancel culture actually focuses on. There was no avenue in which to handle the matter internally or handle the matter with the royal family. So they felt the need to go to Oprah Winfrey, which was the press, that they did, and bring out all of these allegations in regards to the royal family, and continue to use the press to bring out these allegations in regards to the royal family. To be honest, seeing all of that happen has shaped my views to not agree with cancel culture. So where I do recognize the changes that does happen, because what happened after that, where my research has led me, was a Quartz article that was written in which how organizations should respond to these allegations in regards to the royal family. Of course, we know the royal family are uncancelable. Like, you cannot cancel the royal family. It's practically impossible. But it was a stain on their stellar reputation that this actually happens, and has confirmed whatever bias in which people had. The article done well in listing out ways in which the HR department can adjust in the modern world, so that they do not fall into the traps that the royal family fell when they in regards to Meghan's claims. It's important to note, just like the Meghan royal family case, these can also apply in everyday life as well. In employment, when you go into a business and sign that contract, and it is found that you have actually done the due diligence of following every procedure in the contract, if you can show this and show, yes, I've done this, I've done everything they've said, I went through every procedure that they have laid out in their employee manual. So therefore, this should have happened. It didn't happen. So what anyone can do in that situation, they can take it further. These laws were in place to protect and preserve your human rights when you're working within the workplace setting. Because all of these things, the Me Too, they were all made to improve life within the workplace, so that you don't go through these these grievances. Of course, there are different sides of the Me Too that doesn't just include workplace, but I'm not talking about that. The point I'm making is the Noel Clarke case is actually very good at highlighting this. I actually think it was a good thing that he brought awareness to how the entertainment industry as a whole still hasn't caught up with the employment industry. Their own individual contracts with the studio may not have the same protections that those procedures, those safeguarding procedures could do. Unlike an employment contract where everything is kind of bottled up, and you have a long-term contract with a company. I hope you understand where I'm coming from, because what I'm trying to say is it has actually highlighted a flaw within the system that should need fixing. And a good thing came out of that, where there was an open letter that was signed by a lot of reputable actors. It had 2,000 signatures, for this. And this is a positive change, because what this can happen is this can be used to go into the courts to actually pursue this change that would actually heed the complaints that is laid out in the open letter. Change can be enacted through there. My point is, the reaction to these sexual harassment claims, the way it was framed, I actually thought it was framed and sensationalized, as if it was akin to Harvey Weinstein, who was literally raping people. And this is not something that was happening with Noel Clarke. Don't get me wrong, cases like this are very nuanced and very complex in its nature. I am not cheapening that in any way. What I am saying is, at some point there has to be some level of equilibrium, because there is no way we can look at the Noel Clarke case and think the punishment of him losing an award, losing everything for workplace misconduct is proportionate. There just has to be a balance to all of these things that is being called out into the forefront, because the cancellations, as the peer-reviewed journal rightly states out, is down to the third parties, not necessarily the activist itself. This video is not to excuse or to say he's automatically guilty or not guilty. I'm basically taking everyone's allegations and everyone's response to the allegations as truth for the purposes of this video. But I think we need to be a lot more prudent with how we do things, because in my opinion, the way that the BAFTAs reacted to the whole Noel Clarke thing was the right thing to do. Before The Guardian even wrote the article, they did contact the BAFTAs, but they didn't. There was nobody to corroborate the claims. All the BAFTAs wanted to do was basically say, listen, let's, who are these people? And the Guardian writers was basically saying, look, listen, we're not gonna share the details because they don't want to be blackballed in the industry, have their careers hampered. But they went on record anyway on the Guardian article. They were not anonymous then, but they were anonymous to the BAFTAs, which to me, I cannot help but agree with the BAFTAs here, because end of the day, they asked so that they can do their own investigation. When the article hit and they saw all the information that they were not privy to, they suspended and withdrew the award from him. But even then, this wasn't enough, because even then the BAFTAs were under attack. And I'm like, why are you attacking them for? What could they do at the time? They were presented with information from unverified information. And this is the worst part about it. When they have to denounce and withdraw the award, they have to put up a public statement to show them doing this. If they were to do it based on an anonymous source, they're not just opening themselves up for a lawsuit to say that they're defaming this person's character, saying that there were allegations of XYZ happening, and it all came from an anonymous source. There is actually case law to say that this shouldn't be the case for anyone making public statements, that they should have that if you're talking about somebody else and you're using anonymous sources, that would be, well, at least in the States, it will be seen as an inference to actual malice, which is the standard over there. But in the UK, it's a lot easier. It would make their case so much worse. The law wasn't made so that they can hide behind it, at least the allegations could, so that they can hide and protect the individual. It was made to protect the individual, so that you cannot just slander anybody, because the system does recognize false allegations exist. This is the negative side of cancel culture, because they have noticed the gap in the legal system. They just want to go straight and convict rather than use it in the way that it was used with Ivy Weinstein, because this is where the credible cases actually stack up. The credible cases of cancel culture that has enacted the cancellations, etc., all led back to the legal systems and all led back to reforms, even going back into the 60s, etc. They all went back to the legal systems and all led back to reform. So it came with a form of action that could be set so that the future generations can benefit and not have to go through this route. If there is no due process and you end up losing a lot of your things, in my opinion, that is no small feat. And this did not just happen to Noel Clarke. This also happened to people like Johnny Depp. This also happened to people like Aziz Ansari, and Aziz Ansari's story is a bit of a wild one. For those that don't know what the Aziz Ansari case is, it's basically the woman that he was going. She went by the alias Grace. It's not really a real name, but they met at a party. They went back, and she just didn't want to take it further. So it wasn't a necessarily no, because they actually did end up doing things on the night. It was just she just didn't want to have sex, and she left and said that he was just like the other men. There was also an article by the Atlantic. Quote the article: "Is proof that women are angry, temporarily powerful, and very, very dangerous." There were a lot of hard non-negotiables that Caitlin Flanagan, which is the author of the article, that basically outlined that a lot of women were told back then on how to handle people like Aziz, or how to handle when they are in that compromising position. And what she basically talks about is how there is now this evolution where this has gone backwards. She basically alludes to the fact that women have become a lot weaker over time, and they're not really doing these acts anymore in which they are putting their foot down. There's so many ways that one could read what has happened to Aziz Ansari, but the main point is consent is important. And the reason why I brought this article in is to show that it's not just on one side that should bear all the blame here. What this case actually reminds me of is the Bill Burr stand-up.
No means no, that's another one. No means no. It's like, no, it doesn't. All right? Look, no means no. No, that means no, all right? But no, stop it, what are you doing? Oh my God. You're being so bad, stop it. No. Yeah, that's not a fucking no. That means I want to do it, but I'm afraid you're going to judge me, so I'm just going to make it look like it was your idea so you don't figure out that I've already performed this act with 40 other fucking people, right? But then you go to court and you get a bad read and there's some guy reading it. Your Honor, she said no. Stop it. What are you doing? You're being so bad. Yeah, and you're just sitting there like, she didn't fucking say it like that. She didn't say it like that.
Let's be honest. When you see a case of Aziz Ansari, even when they put their hands up, they're the villain. When you see a case of Noel Clarke, even when he says, yeah, I did this thing, yeah, I did this, but it's twisted. And the worst part is the people that are basically coming at you, they don't really have any care for whether these allegations are true or not. And in the two cases that I've brought, you can make a case that one case is true or not, but the Aziz Ansari case is actually factual, because end of the day, he was sent the message that what he did, and he basically said to him, oh wow, I didn't know you felt like that. I saw a channel, Topical Juice, who basically had views on the Noel Clarke case, and in his eyes, he was already done. And there's no shade on the channel. I don't watch the guy. He came up in my research. I saw him on Patient Zena. I actually watched Patient Zena, but I saw him on her channel once, and I was like, okay, he seems like a cool guy, but I have no personal problem with the guy. But I think it's very rich, extremely rich, for somebody to say, you wouldn't get a case against me. You just wouldn't get a case against me because I am like this, I am like that, and that would never happen. And if you hear one case about me, you're not gonna hear 20 more. No, you may rub people the wrong way. Even if you are the nicest guy on this planet, some people just may not like you. So if they hear one thing about you that is negative, they could come out and say, yeah, I remember this interaction, I felt he was harassing, and that's it, you got two. So your point falls flat. Just because you have 1 to 20, even if it was 1 million accusers, I don't care. You take each case by case by case. In which he was talking about was basically that if there was one case, I will fight it. But the point is, why is this one case not equal to the 20 cases? Equal is equal. We are supposed to live a fair and just life, right? And he said it himself. He was basically saying that he has done some toxic things in the past, but it wouldn't be to this volume. It doesn't matter the volume. The point is, what everyone is saying, they all have to be account for their every word. I agree with him though. I do agree with him. Why would they all just decide to come out and do this on the BAFTAs, etc.? And his rationale for his viewpoint was actually quite good, because all he said was basically, when you hear one case, it empowers someone else to come forward. That's actually true. A lot of these cases, like I said, they are very nuanced, and these avenues should be seen as the last resort. And this is why I specifically don't like Topical Juice's take, because end of the day, it is fallacious to think, okay, well, this system is flawed, so I'm gonna hold this position. And like I said, he's not wrong to actually believe what he believes in. I'm not going after that. That's individual choice. I'm going after the mentality, because this is the point I'm making. This is why I don't think cancellations is doing the world any good, because when you have this mentality that, okay, because this is flawed and this is broken, throw it all out. The system is bad, it's broke, this and that. I understand. The system is not broken though. The system is flawed. I agree with that comment, but the system has cracks. The same cracks that let OJ Simpson walk free. The same cracks that let Casey Anthony also walk free. The same cracks in 2022, 2023 that is letting someone like a 32-year-old babysitter who got drunk, who says her defense is, I actually got drunk. So the 13-year-old that slept, that I sexually assaulted, like not even sexually assaulted, outright raped. The system, the cracks here allowed her, because she's pregnant, etc., on all those things. They took a plea deal to keep her out of prison. The truth is, it's supposed to be fair, equal, and fair, right? So I agree with him here, because end of the day, if that was a man that was there, and I shouldn't even have to say this, at least the system has a place in which they can correct themselves. The people that make the takes like this, the people that decide to do these cancellations, if they get it wrong, if they actually cancel an innocent person, cancel an innocent man, let him lose his livelihood, take on whatever trauma that they have from a false allegation. We just have the case of Eleanor Williams. This is the UK. He went to the store, grabbed a hammer, beat her face down to the Pope and said, these men did it. When I see cases like this, it makes me think there is no way you can just believe every single allegation, because she went straight to the papers. By the way, nothing happened to those boys, in terms of the police or her getting arrested, etc. What she was alleging was basically a grooming gang was going on, where there was multiple perpetrators. It's the same multiple, it's just flipped now. So what you're basically saying is, how could you not believe her? Is that there's a whole gang of people and her face is beat up, this and that. You can't. The point I'm making is, even when it's that difficult, you have to dig in and investigate, because that's what those boys did. They basically went ahead and asked the police to look into it. It was found out that she was perverting the course of justice. In the case of Eleanor Williams, the system worked. The system actually fixed that, brought jail time, and it opens the avenue for the victim, in this case of the false allegation, to pursue methods of compensation, because they were damaged. They were racially attacked. They had people spraying the P word, which KSI was basically cancelled for recently, but they were spraying the P word all over their house. They were called terrorists. Their lives were ruined. So the system providing this recourse for them to be compensated for that, for the person that done this heinous thing to go to jail, at least is trying to repair that. It's not all perfect. I agree. The one thing that I hate with the rhetoric of I know the evidence, I know, etc., outside ego and all of that, and I'm not saying that Topical Juice is an ego-driven person. That's not my point. But I'm saying there are elements of ego or self-righteousness that goes into this. You cannot open up yourself to believe that you could be wrong one way or the other. If more evidence was to come to light, I don't know if Topical Juice actually spoke on the Eleanor Williams case, or even if he's even aware of it, but the mentality that he holds also is echoed to other people that held the same mentality. When the proof came out that she did this, an individual defending the person and saying, hey, she shouldn't go to jail because it sounds like she has mental problems.
Because we live in a country where women aren't believed, and it is extremely difficult for women to come forward and talk about sexual assault that has happened to them. And look, this situation is grotesque. You were right to call it that. It's abhorrent, and he is a very nice guy. But it's quite clear that the girl in question is really unwell. If you look at her mental health all around this case, she was reported missing one year 32 times in just 1 year by her own mother. She's clearly not well. I actually don't even think she should be going to prison. I think she should be going... I think she should be sectioned. I think she's not well. And I actually don't think prison is a safe environment for her.
Well, I don't really care if it's a safe environment for her, frankly. And I don't think that being unwell is a justification. You wouldn't be saying that...
It's not a justification, but it might be an explanation.
If we had a male... If this guy had been convicted of what he'd been charged or accused of doing and arrested over... like you said, 22 years, you'd have called him a monster. You wouldn't have made some excuse about his mental health.
Yeah, I mean...
Right? Why are you making an excuse for her?
I'm not giving her an excuse.
You are. You're saying she shouldn't even be in prison.
I'm explaining. I don't think that she is well, and I don't think she's going to be rehabilitated in a prison.
We know that men drive the statistics. I'm going to bring in criminals in gangs, etc. We know a majority of them are black. Does this mean that we just presume every black person that is could be unfortunately at a scene, that means they're guilty? No, that doesn't just mean because someone comes forward with an allegation that you just believe, oh, 20 people? Okay, he's guilty, gone, bang. No, sorry, no. I'm sorry, but you're not gonna get someone like myself on board, probably not other people, when you miss the human element in all of this. Eleanor Williams serves as an example, the same way Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly serve as an example of the men and how far they can go. She also serves as an example of how far a false accuser can go, because this is extremely dangerous. This is how I know that also people haven't gone through false allegations before, because the minute you go through false allegations, your mind will change. I have gone through a false allegation from my ex. I still can't talk about it till today. I can't even disclaim it to the public because of how heinous it was, and because, let's be honest, I'm a wise person. I know how it's gonna go the minute I say what the allegation was. I just know, because end of the day, it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. You guys don't care. You guys do not care if it's true or not. So there's no point. There is absolutely no point in saying this is what I was accused of. I won't get that grace. It's just that simple. I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm gonna take the steps to protect myself. End of the day, the people in my life knew me. When she was calculated as well, because when she put up the post on Facebook to say to her 4,000 plus followers, to say, I did this, I did that. When she did that, everyone that saw the post that knew me were like, nah, that's not him. That's not him. That didn't stop everyone though, because not everyone knows me. The people that don't know me believed it. And these are people, and when I say people that don't know me, these are people that were probably my friends, but they don't actually know me. So they were like, oh, it could be true. Because why would she lie about that? End of the day, the people that knew about me, knew about the relationship, knew about, even those that didn't even know about the relationship, they were like, nah, that's not him. And regardless, the point is, even with that happening, everyone that knew me went to mass report the post. It was gone up. Obviously, she didn't put it back up because she for whatever reason. But the job was done. The only reason why this accusation even exists was because I didn't take her back. It was because I did not. I went ahead with the divorce that she didn't want me to go through. After the abuse I was subjected to with her, every time I retell this story, because I do tell the story, just not this allegation part, but every time I tell the story, and everyone's like, oh, it's your fault, you made the mistake. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll take it on. It's my mistake for choosing the wrong person. I've been hearing that for the past 2-3 years since my very. In fact, it's affected me so much that I was like, it's affected me so much that I was like, you know what? I gotta stop crying about it. It's really not her mistake. It's actually my mistake. It was my mistake for me to think I can trust a single mother. It was my mistake for me to think I can take on a single mother with 4 different baby dads and 7 children. All of these things, I was like, yeah, that is actually my mistake. Because in my head, I was thinking, okay, everyone deserves a chance. That was what my head was thinking at the time. I'm not even mad at this point, actually. I'm just laying out the facts the way it is. But that didn't stop her from making the allegation. Everything that she did in the relationship, she cheated. She actually had another child with the person that she cheated on. And because I wouldn't take that, and because I wouldn't stay with her because she did that, because I felt disrespect, I was like, what the hell? Not only did I do this and take on this, take on this task, but you've gone out and stepped out on me. That is not fair. I'm not gonna have that. And walked. Probably she didn't expect it. Bang. The allegation happened. At the end of the day, I don't have any ill will towards this person. I've moved on from it. I've grown from it. I've learned from it. I have made changes to my life after that. But the point is, the minute you go through that, you're not gonna look at everything else the same. Because the reality is, it is a very traumatic experience. Whether you want to play it off as, I don't believe this person, or you're devoid, you need to put yourself in that person's shoes, regardless whether you think they're guilty or not. Some cases, I'm not stupid as well. Come on, I'm not stupid. Some cases are really clear cut. The Weinstein case was so clear cut. Like, it wasn't just the people coming forward. There was actual evidence, emails, audio recordings, all presented. The R. Kelly case wasn't even, it wasn't just a he said, she said. There was proof, there was evidence. There are times that these things you can't ignore. The same way that they were able to empower themselves to go and make the article is the same way I'm encouraging people moving forward to empower themselves to take the appropriate steps with the resources that we have now, because we have more resources. If you're going to argue that back then it was a bit more archaic to now, we have a lot more resources now to take action. Like we have a lot more. Cancel culture is here to stay. The idea is great in concept. It can spot things in the system that is actually not there. I don't hate it for that reason and that reason only. That's why I want it to stay. But overall, as a concept, for what it is right now, for the way that human beings are, which is very callous, very evil, we are evil creatures. I feel like people are going to misunderstand me when I say that people are evil. It's just a simple point of we all have evil within us regardless. And the minute that we actually see that and accept that, maybe due process might come down, because we need to really remember that somebody could pick up a hammer, smash their eyeballs in, cause black eyes to themselves just because they don't like people. That's my 2 cents. I was a lot more candid than I was a lot more off the rip than I expected, but I hope you understand why cancel culture is something that has to be really looked at. I hope you understand that it does have some good. It's not actually inherently evil. There is a lot of good that has come from it, but we just need to get a grip because it's getting out of hand. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Distorted Coda. Have a good evening and stay blessed.